This is the plaintiff, Sharon Wilson. She says she brought her car to the defendant's shop because her clutch was making noise, and he told her she needed a new transmission. Turns out, she didn't need a new transmission at all. He misdiagnosed her problem. He grossly overcharged her for something she didn't need, and she's here suing for the $5,000 she's most definitely owed. This is the defendant, Sammy Rivera. He says he installed a new transmission in the plaintiff's car, and everything worked great. Then a few weeks later, she had another problem with the car, which had nothing to do with her new transmission, and she's trying to get him to fix it for free. The woman also disputed her Zelle payment to him, claiming he defrauded her. He hasn't been paid, and there's no way he's about to fork over $5,000 to this woman. He's accused of a shoddy repair job. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $2,000 for the deposit she disputed.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You are welcome.
Okay, Ms. Wilson, you're suing Mr. Rivera, Mr. Rivera's company, Budget Transmission Center, correct? For $5,000 that you say you are out as a result of their shoddy workmanship. Tell me what happened.
Okay. On particular October the 19th, I had contacted the shop based on being referred to by Firestone, where initially I had been made aware that my vehicle had malfunctioned at the clutch because the pilot bearing was obviously an issue at the time. That's what they said.
That's what Firestone told you?
Firestone told me, but they could not work because they don't do clutch work.
Okay.
So I said, okay. And they recommended Budget Transmission. So I went, and I heard about them in the beginning looking at things, but I never
Why would you have
pursued
to go to a transmission place for clutch work?
because that is where they would have to pull down the transmission to get to the clutch.
Is that accurate? You have
Yes.
to pull out the transmission to get
That
to the
is
clutch.
correct.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so I contacted the person I spoke to at Jenny, which she's the sales representative of the repair part in that place. It was very nice, and she gave me so much good energy about how she would help me, and I can even get the car towed there because I said I didn't want to drive the car, and so we facilitated towing that day, and then at that point it took like a week for them to call me and tell me anything wrong with my car. And I was like, wow, so I called them. I had been calling in between, but no one ever was able to tell me anything up until the point when I decided to call, which is probably the 29th or so. So when I called, and I was also made aware that the Mike, who was also a sales rep like she is, but also a mechanic to some extent, had been out when he came back at the point in time to elaborate that, oh, your clutch is fine, but we need...
Who told you that?
Mike, who was a
Okay,
sales
who's
rep.
Mike? Okay, Mike, come on up and switch with Jenny, is it? All right. So you inspected the car and you found that there was nothing wrong with the clutch?
Her clutch was in fact okay. You know, what happens is that the center support and the shaft and the transmission tends to make noise. And what happens is that when you're pressing the clutch, the noise tends to go away sometimes. So it's intermittently.
You replaced the transmission, and how do you replace it? Like, was it a new transmission, a rebuilt one?
A whole new transmission. From Nissan. Because some of her parts was discontinued. She has an older vehicle now.
What's your vehicle?
2004 Nissan Frontier.
Okay. So you put in a new transmission, you charge her how much?
I don't know because Jenny was
Let me hear
that
from
mainly
you.
told me.
Okay, so the answer to your question is $31.22, 50 plus tax.
31.22.50.
So altogether, $33.17.60 is what she paid us, yes.
$33.17.60. Okay.
And if you don't mind, can I back up just a little bit now?
Yeah.
When she brought the vehicle in for the noise, in order to find out in the general area, the clutch goes between the motor and the transmission.
Okay.
Take the transmission out, there's the clutch, and you look at the clutch and make sure it's okay. If it is, you look at the next option, which is going to be the transmission that's making the noise. She authorized us to take it apart to find out what's wrong with it. Okay, that was the $750 inspection charge for that, which was included in this. Once we took the transmission out and the mechanic, the rebuilder, took it apart and gave us a parts list, Ms. Wilson turned and said, no, I'll find my own parts. Okay, we spent hours on the phone with her, and she, no, I can get it in New York, I can get it here, I can get it there. I said, well, we kind of get the parts ourselves. He goes, no, I want to get the parts. I don't trust parts. Kind of doesn't work that way, but you do, you go ahead. Where? Oh, in New York, If you go here 2.5 hours, send your guy over there because they don't deliver. You can get those parts there. But also, in Michigan, if you go to Michigan, they have a bearing that you're talking about on page 22 of your list that you can get over there cheaper than what you're charging us. Man, we just don't do that. Oh, well, then you know what? I want a brand new transmission. I don't want you fixing it with your parts since I can't get mine. I want a brand new one from the dealership.
The plaintiff says the defendant misdiagnosed her car problems, he did unnecessary work, and she wants her money back. The defendant says he installed a new transmission in the plaintiff's car, and now, weeks later, she has a different problem. Let's listen.
We give her the quote for the transmission,
Which was how much?
$2236.22. That was the quote for the transmission only the transmission. Oh, no. If you go to upstate New York, I have a guy who can get that transmission for a lot cheaper. I understand that, but now I have to send someone down.
Why would you have to send someone down? She wants to provide her own parts. Wasn't she
No,
drive
she
up
didn't
and
want to
get
do
it?
that either.
Oh, well, then no.
Well, I agree with you there. So
Right.
that's where I was like, no. Well,
So
Jenny,
what did you guys decide?
So Jenny and her bonded somehow. She
Okay.
brought 3 cars to us.
Jenny,
This
come
is-
switch
yeah.
with
Yes,
them.
yes.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
No, you stay right there. Yeah. So Jenny and she bonded, and she brought 3 cars.
And broke bread with us.
Prior to
Broke bread with
this third car, we had talked about, we fixed her mother's car, we fixed another car, and then she bought the Frontier. So when she said it took a while for us to get a hold of her because we had 3 of her vehicles, so we're trying to finagle, and we did more services that we don't do with anybody. Like we don't tow there and from. And I delivered her car to her. When it was drivable because we fixed it, she could have came and picked it up. So we don't inconvenience her. And then Sammy cooks for us every day for lunch at the shop.
Sammy cooks every day.
Every day. If it's
like The
arroz con
Sopranos.
andule, yeah.
Like
Con habichuela, rice and
he
beans.
does
you
it
name
all.
And he cooks good, my ass.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
she ate with us. So
And she ate with you.
We had a great relationship.
Clearly.
She was even texting me after hours. I
and
thought
Jenny
me
had
and
a
her
great
was,
Right.
beyond friends at that point.
And
But-
now what's are you? Do you two have any?
No. I'm his.
So I own
we're center
Budget
managers.
Transmissions.
'Kay.
And they're both center managers at the location.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now the whole job is $3,317.60.
Correct.
Right. She pays it. She takes the car what day?
So she picks up the car November 11th,
Okay.
22. She
When do
paid her
you hear
balance
from her next?
Weeks later.
Yeah.
When do you hear from her next? Do
It
you
must
remember?
have been about three weeks, maybe about 3.5. Several weeks later passed.
Is that
and then she spoke
accurate,
to me.
Ms. Wilson?
I'm about to tell you that right now, so I'll give you exact date. And that would be, well, it was actually a week or 2 after that because.
Just give me the date.
Okay, 1 second, I'm working on more.
So the car was picked up on what day?
I have about
November.
November 11th is when this was paid stamped.
So according to you, it's several weeks later. According to her, it's 1 or 2 weeks later. Whatever it is, we know it's weeks later.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
she calls you and she tells you what?
She said that she was hearing the same noise or a noise in her vehicle. So I told her, well, that's what
Okay,
warranty
so
is for.
let me just ask you that's what's for?
Warranty is for.
Okay, so hold on. Ms. Wilson, let me ask you something. So for a period of time, you didn't hear the noise, right?
No, that's not true. I felt very bad results of the car when I first actually picked it up.
Then why on earth didn't you call them right away?
No, I was right there in front of the shop when I did that.
You
I heard that I felt the gears feel very hard, like they
So
never
did you
felt.
say something?
Actually, I was told before I could say anything, drive it for 2 weeks and come back and we'll do some adjustments.
Just a second. If you got in the car and you felt something right away, you don't look to me like the kind of woman who can't express herself and
right
say,
about that.
hey.
You're right
So,
about that.
like, why didn't you just say something then?
You
Because
asking
they
me-
told me to drive it.
No, I'm not. I'm going to tell you exactly why. The energy we had was very hostile.
Hostile?
Me and him we had been not in a good stage, even that a cab driver wanted to make sure I was there, not in trouble, and came to see if I was doing all right before she pulled off. I was not in a good plane. I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't trust no more.
Wait, what happened? You hadn't even driven the car yet. What was it that made you feel that way?
Welcome back to the People's Court. I'm Harvey Levin. The plaintiff says she never needed a new transmission and says that the defendant simply is trying to rip her off. But the defendant says that the problems the plaintiff has with her car have nothing to do with the transmission. Let's listen.
It was a lot going on before I was able to pick up my car. And I was more concerned about getting my car because I was afraid that I was going to be dealing with some very shifty situations. And I was.
I don't
did.
get it.
Okay.
What had gone wrong from breaking bread till that moment that you felt that way?
Okay, because the breaking bread was me and her, and it wasn't him. He was gone. He cooked.
was
it, so
cooking,
could
I
bake.
thought.
He's a cooked it, but I ate it through her.
Okay.
We was talking, what have you. We was in good
So,
energy. She's good
so
people.
what was the problem
The
between you and her
problem
when you
was
picked up the car?
The problem that negated me to feel different about Sammy, who I think is a very handsome gentleman.
Thank you.
I always told him, listen, I'm just saying. Just put that out.
There's
put that out
nothing
there.
I trust less than a handsome gentleman.
There you go. Right. That's it. There you go. Okay, so when he told me on I was the 5th, when I was on the phone, when I had made those many phone calls to reach someone to explain to me their idea of these parts that I didn't recognize, nor did my dealer recognize that was required for my transmission. No one explained to me why or anything.
Okay.
And then I was definitely told by Mike that my clutch was
You're not answering my simple question, which is why didn't you roll down the window and tell them, hey, I'm hearing it knocking right now, and show it to them and have them
You're
hear.
reverting to the idea of how I got
Why did
that.
you wait a week or 2 weeks?
You're going to the point of why I would even go there and be not saying anything just to get my car
Yeah,
away.
but you
Because
apparently weren't so afraid that you didn't call a week or 2 later. And I'm asking you
Actually,
such a simple question. Was it okay for a week or 2?
Actually-
Because that's the only thing that makes sense if you waited a week or 2.
Actually, the day I took it back, I said it was not okay. You want to know why I didn't say nothing then? I was going to that point.
Took
So,
it back where?
when I got it back when I went to get my car.
Right, but you never told them until a week or 2 later.
No, I didn't
And
tell
according
them
to
until a
you,
week
it
too
was
later
the exact
because-
same noise that whole week or 2, because I'm having trouble with
evaluate
that.
it further when I got the car back. I work very early in the morning. I leave my house when it's dark.
I don't know what that has to do with my
So
question.
it has a lot to do with the fact that I could not run the car because it was locked out. The battery was dead. They didn't tell me the battery kept dying on them. I couldn't get the car to start to even try it once I got to my house.
What are you talking about? You drove it away from the place.
And for some reason, when I get up in the morning, it was not turning on for me. I couldn't
So
even
did you
do it.
call them that morning and complain?
No, because they're not around at that morning. Nobody's around at that
So
morning.
did you call them later that day and tell them the car
I
wouldn't
had a
start?
lot of my plates to be working, but I was going to address it because I knew that it was more than just that.
Okay.
I knew it was more
Why
than
did you
just
wait
that.
a week and a half or 2 weeks to call them?
Because I could not get into the car to drive it to further evaluate before I start cranking up the idea that I think they
I don't
did right to
understand.
my
If you
car.
just needed a jump, why didn't you just get a jump?
Because I'm not home to get a jump. I drive 70 miles in the morning to work and 70 miles back. I don't have that liberty.
So
I had
you
no
picked
time
up
to
the
take off.
car, it didn't work right, and then you let it sit there for a week and a half,
I had
and then
no
what?
choice to let it sit there for a week.
Uh-huh.
And a half.
And then what changed?
But
When
what
did you
changed
find
is
a
when I was
choice?
able to take the time to get it started up by having to jump it myself. I jumped it, and then I realized it was not going to stay jumped too long, so I had to go get the battery. The battery was practically new, believe it or not. And I had to take it back where I got a battery, initially got the battery, which is a dealer. And they sent me around to get a better battery. I was surprised my car even made that much. But it was just more just locked out the car and the battery. So when I finally got to the shop to establish the battery, to replace the battery, I asked the dealer, could you mind please checking my clutch and seeing if I got a transmission in there? Okay,
If you've got a what?
a new transmission in my vehicle.
Okay.
I wanted to confirm.
Through the whole process, because she
You
was
don't
one
mind
of
if I
those
can speak to you?
customers
Could I speak
who
to you,
calls
please?
me
Hold on one
before I
second. No, wait.
apologize.
You sent her videos of the transmission check?
Because you don't understand what I dealt with. Like, we were very pleased with her in the beginning, but then it was like she was calling me after hours, texting me on my own time, keeping me on the phone 45 minutes at a time. So when she had that bad encounter that she says with Sammy, it's because, like, I think I was driving him crazy. Like, oh my God, if she calls me one more time, because it was just excessive.
So you started sending her videos of the work?
Of every step. Like, this is,
All
and I
right.
have
In any
my
event,
phone
she's entitled
currently.
to ask her questions of the dealer. So you
100%.
asked the dealer, do I really have a new transmission?
So whose problem is the car problem? Let's go back into the courtroom.
So I was asked the deal, I was trying to confirm do I have a real transmission at the time because I didn't think I had it because the car was worse than it was. So I thought that they either didn't put a new transmission or they gave me a used one. That's my attitude I thought I
At
had.
this point, had you called them before or after the dealer tells you what you're about to tell me the dealer told you?
Pretty much after because
Okay, so let's see the paperwork from the dealer and
Okay.
see what date
you
that
should
is.
see.
All right, so have you guys seen this? Have you folks seen what I just
No.
put up?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'm gonna read it to you. The pilot bushing tech found pieces of the pilot bushing broken and in the clutch and in the flywheel.
Okay. It didn't leave that way.
Judgment.
Okay, yeah.
There's no way that we would have seen that and let that be that way.
Right.
Because once you take it apart, you're gonna see chunks of metal coming out.
We're going to want to sell it to her. We're going to say, hey, either get it under.
Yeah, you want it, yeah.
Well, like the battery. She says the battery, I just replaced it. I'm going to get it under warranty. If we would have told her the clutch or the throw-out bearing or any portion of that is bad, she would have said, wait, time out. I'll get my own part from the guy in New York again, and get it on my own. And
But that's up to her.
Right, but
What I'm
we would've
analyzing
told
is
her that.
why why you guys wouldn't see what this guy saw, and your answer is it didn't leave our shop that way.
Sure.
All right, now hold on. When installing the new pilot bushing, the tech also found clutch bolts missing and cross-threaded. Who had done your clutch? That's someone else?
Yeah.
Actually, my clutch has been not an issue until I actually realized what made it the issue. And so
I don't
the
know
clutch
what you're
not-
saying.
so
Your
no, but
clutch
it's-
had been worked on before you gave it to these guys, right?
Yes, and it wasn't
And
worked on
the
properly.
clutch bolts were there were clutch bolts missing and cross-threaded. The tech also noted that the pilot bushing should have been replaced when the transmission was out of the vehicle, considering this was most likely the original issue. Tech removed transmission, removed and replaced pilot bushing, set fluid level. How's it working now?
Oh, they fixed it. They fixed it, changed the power bearing that's crumbled up. I got a picture of that, and I got it in
Okay,
pieces.
so now you're coming to court and you're suing for $1,401.26 cost of installing transmission. That's what she says you charge her, not $1,317.
Can I?
No, I'm in the middle of
I'm
a
sorry,
sentence.
my bad, I'm sorry.
$2,000 for the transmission, right? Are you suing to get all of your money back that you paid them?
No, I'm not.
Because you believe that you have a new transmission, so you should pay for that.
Actually, I can't actually name every dollar that may apply that, like, I'm trying to get all of it back.
Well, you're
Other-
supposed to, because you're the plaintiff.
No, but in reference to the fact that I was confirmed that I had a new transmission, so I definitely didn't think about getting the $2,000 I gave them in reference for them to go pick it up.
Okay,
which they never did.
but we all know that you contested the $2,000.
I contested on the grounds of things I had to experience during the
Okay,
misleadiness.
what happened to your Zelle payment of $2,000?
So I get a notice. I'm trying to send my brother a few dollars. You know, he says, "Hey, send me a few dollars. My Zelle's not working." I'm like, "Hey, what? That's weird. That's weird. It's not working." So then Mike says, "Well, yeah, mine is not working. Maybe it's a key bank issue." So I call the bank. The bank says, "Well, no, it's a little bit more than that. What's going on?" Well, someone says that you're doing fraud. Fraud. Oh, and by the way, we're closing your account. Closing my account for what? Oh, yeah, Miss. There's the paper in front of you. Miss Wilson said that we somehow frauded her out of $2,000 by taking her phone, entering our information into her phone so that we can get $2,000 from her. That's the only way Zelle works. I have to have her phone. So she sent me the money. She acknowledges she sent me the money as a deposit to buy the transmission. And then in order for her to call Zelle and say, to get her money back, the only way it works is if you say it's fraud. She tried with the credit card company, and the credit card company sided with us. They said, well, this is not fraud. So they sided with us, and they didn't even attempt the chargeback.
They side with you in the sense of that they tell her it's a civil matter. We're not going to just give you your money back.
Sure.
Right.
So then the bank says to me...
But then what did the bank... So this is your bank?
That's
Key
my
Bank is your bank.
Yeah. And also the business bank.
Right. Yeah. And so they said, we've debited your account $2,000.
Yeah.
Why? Because she contested it?
Because she said it's fraud. If she would have said, oh, I'm not happy with the services...
But this letter doesn't say because we've found fraud. This
So
letter
if you
just
look at-
says, we are writing to let you know that we have deleted your account and the amount of $2,000. It also doesn't say we closed your account. It just
So-
says she complained, so we gave her back her money.
Keep reading.
The reason for the adjustment is to reverse a Zelle transaction to Sharon Wilson that could not be completed. We apologize for any inconvenience this has caused and thank you for your cooperation. Blah, blah. There's nothing in here about fraud.
I think it does. That's all, you look
No,
at
there's not.
Okay, I'm sorry. Look at the bottom signature. It says fraud department.
No, Key Bank's Adjustments Department. Why did they credit her?
Because she said it was fraud. And
I know, but it's your bank. Why does your bank
no,
cooperate?
It's Zelle. Zelle is different. Zelle
No,
is,
but Zelle is a part of your. It's your bank. So
works
Zelle
with-
decides.
Zelle decides. They work with all the banks.
Yeah.
And they
So
decide.
Zelle tells your bank return the money.
Yeah. They just take it. They just take it. So now Zelle is still investigating. Once I sent them the paperwork, I know the court case came quick. I appreciate
No, that's
it.
what we do.
No,
We
this is
provide
great.
speedy justice around
And
here.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. They said, well, we're going to look into trying to get your money back because we now know it is not fraud. That was the whole basis of them taking the money is because they thought it was fraud. Had she not said it was fraud, they'd say, well, it's civil. You have to come to here. And we would have been just fine. We would have been, okay. And just to say one thing. I like Miss Wilson. Miss Wilson drove her crazy, spent 3-4 hours a day, no lie, on the phone 20, 40 minutes a day.
Well, you don't have to do that. You're busy.
Oh,
You're
no. You can't get her off the phone.
No, that's not rude. You just say, I have
We
to.
have.
And then it goes in a
So
circle.
then when it came to me, and she got me on the phone, and I'm like rehashing and reliving, I'm like, Miss Wilson, we've already talked about this. This is how much it is. Oh, no, New York. Okay, this is it. That's it. So then she didn't like my price because I increased it. You want me to go to New York? It's going to be $90 more. I'm going to send my guy down there. I'll go to New York and get that transmission. Just to, she brought 3 cars. She broke bread with us. We're all good, but there's a boiling point at that point. And I'm like, no. So then I increased the price. She calls her up. Oh, your boss. I don't like his price. What are you going to do? Oh, no. So she says, I got you. Behind my back, she says, don't worry about the $90.
And I got in trouble for it.
Well, of course you did.
So the defendant's witness was just saying she went behind her boss's back and gave the plaintiff a few $100, and she's got into trouble for it? Let's listen.
We're on the phone half a day, 2-3 times a day. Come on now. So we were never given the opportunity to check the car. Had we gotten the opportunity to check the car, okay, we would have been able to take...
No, tell me about that, Miss Wilson. When you do call them and tell them there's something wrong with it, why don't you just bring the car back to them? That's what a warranty is for.
Well, that's just it. First of all, it's not. I don't have the liberty of doing that, but the car wasn't drivable. I was not going to drive it no more like that.
Well, you drove it to...
We told 3
I had no
vehicles.
choice to bring.
Hold
to
on,
establish-
everybody stop on that side, please.
I had no choice to try to establish how to get the car found out by driving it to where I can.
Well,
get some
why don't you
honest-
drive it to the place that you
Because-
had the job done at so they can warrant their work? If you think that something has to do with their work, then why wouldn't you just drive it there? And by the way, they also towed a bunch of your cars for free, so you have like a special thing there.
This is well.
Why
okay.
don't you give them an opportunity to fix whatever you say they did
Yeah, a lot
wrong?
of whys. I got to answer one of them. I can comfortably ask, please, Your Honor, please.
Okay, so here's my question.
Yes,
Why don't you bring the car back to them?
because I didn't trust them any longer.
Okay. That's the
Okay,
answer.
can I-
You did not want to give them an opportunity to fix anything and
No,
see
not
anything.
the opportunity.
You did not want to bring your car back to them.
Actually, it's not true. We didn't go over
Just
the fact
said it.
that Mike's.
You didn't trust
but-
them, and you didn't want to give them an opportunity to
Reason
look
why
at the car.
I didn't need to let you know why I didn't trust him. Mike got on the phone and told me, well, take it back to transmission where you got it from. It must be a transmission. I said, well, that's not the doings of transmission people I bought it from because you guys got it. You should let them know that transmission's not working right. He said, well, then maybe it's your clutch. I said, but you told me nothing's wrong with my clutch. So now that made me feel very uptight about that because to say the least, I've been calling like that all along because no one would get on the phone and
So
explain
you're
to me
suing for
about
the
these
cost of
parts.
installing the transmission. We know that you've already been returned the $2,000 on Zelle, and you're suing $1,000 for neglect. What's that?
Neglect is the fact that they drove my car while I was not prepared. They drove it 108 miles, and I can show that to you, but I like to be able to explain to you what...
Did you drive the car 108 miles?
Absolutely not. But if we did, that proves our point right there. The car drives fine then
No,
for
that's-
108 miles. I mean,
$2,000 for deceit and misleading. Please tell me what the deceit and misleading
My problem is that they deceived with the idea that these parts was required when the dealer never recognized the parts.
They said that the parts were just not available because they were too old. So
I'm talking about the list of price, the list that they initially indicated that
Right.
made me puzzled about letting them work on my car until we was able to understand why these parts was needed. When I tried to go help them so-called get the parts so it can be faster, because waiting for a whole 7 days is a lot to be waiting for, and I told them I need to cause a backup. I didn't feel I should have to wait for that when I can possibly help them get the parts. And Mike agreed. When I did that, I said, let me get my touch with the people in the Bronx. When they looked at the parts, I told them the parts, I showed them, they said, no, we don't have no parts such as parts that. I tell you what, we'll give you a diagram of the transmission, let them circle what they needed. I have the circle of the paper without the circle, and I got it with the circle. These parts says, look like 6 parts, maybe 4 at the most, turned out to be 19 parts. Now, I didn't question that. I said, well, let's try to get those parts for them.
okay.
When they try to get
And
the
then
parts,
$1,000 for pain and suffering.
the pain and suffering is that it had me stressed out, bugged out the formatter that I would be had like that. I couldn't sleep. I also had a lot of issues with trying to figure out what was going on, and I didn't have the backup
At some
of my
point,
vehicle.
you accused them of not picking up the transmission, and they had picked up the transmission.
No, they had. I said accused them of not picking up where we agreed it was going to be picked up for me to even give them $2,000 because I wouldn't have to give them $2,000.
Did
got
they
it where
pick
wanted
it
to.
up from where you asked them to pick it
No,
up
they
from?
did not. They did not. They got it from the place where I ended up being at, where they got it fixed because they recognized their transmission.
You have the counterclaim against her for $2,000 because Zelle has told you that well, they already took the money away from you.
Right.
But now, what is going on physically now with this? Once you showed them what you showed them, are they investing? What are they doing? Are they leaving it up to you?
Yeah, in a sense, yeah. They're saying, okay, well now, send us all the paperwork, and we did. We even sent them the picture of the receipt of the transmission because she's saying she never bought a transmission. Whatever story she told them to get them to say, okay.
You don't know what she told them, though.
Thank you.
She must have told. She was.
I hear you, but you don't know what she told them because you don't know what incompetent handled her. You don't know. You don't know.
You're right.
Go ahead.
At that point, right now, the way it seems, right, it's.
I know it smells to you like she lied, but we don't know what she said. Did you, well, she's not going to show me anything in
No,
writing.
I can show you a lot of stuff.
Can you show me something in writing that you said to Zelle, to the bank, in order to get your money back?
Actually, I never got my money back. I got banks showing it before and after up until December.
I've got the letter from his bank saying they returned the money.
You got a letter, and you know something? I never know a bank can write a letter like that, but my Chase bank couldn't write a letter because they never held nothing. They never dealt nothing. They said his bank had to prove that.
Stop. What are you saying? Listen to what I am saying. Here is a letter from his bank saying we returned, Zelle took the money back. That's what this is saying.
Well, Zelle must have got the money. I don't have it.
There's no way. Open your Zelle account right now. Open your Zelle account and hand it to my bailiff.
I don't know how you get an account. Is a Zelle hooked up to your bank? What can I tell you? I don't, there's no
Yes,
such thing
go
as
into
that.
your bank account.
You can look through it, you know.
I get confused between Zelle and Venmo because I use them both all day long.
Cool.
I've gone all the way back to December, and they did not put the money back into her account, just so you know.
Okay. The time they took the money, the date they took the money, according to here,
Is January 10th.
Correct, yes.
Right. I've gone back to December 23rd, and
Okay.
there's not a plus 2,000 coming into, and I'm in her checking account.
Sure.
So this is where it would go. And I'm seeing her payroll come in, like I'm seeing the things that come in. So
Can you see if the $2,000 came out of her account? From there, from that account, that particular account that's there?
what's the date of the payment? You're right.
January 4th.
It'd be November.
No, November 11th,
November
right?
4th, my bad.
Yeah.
Not even November 11th. That's the
No,
day
it
she
was-
picked up the car.
It was before then.
November 4th.
I'll tell you, it
November
was
the 4th, Judge.
11/4. Yeah, 11/4.
Yeah, came out of her account.
Okay. So it may be in
So
fact
they
that
have
Zelle
it in
is
limbo.
In
Yeah.
a holding.
Yeah, they
until
do. They have it in limbo because,
Doesn't mean I'll get it because she can.
well, I don't know. That's true.
Yeah.
However, that's what I'm for.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to handle the counterclaim.
Welcome back to the People's Court. The question, did the defendant perform unnecessary work, or did the plaintiff really need a new transmission? Let's go back into the courtroom and find out.
Just to be clear, it's
Yes.
exactly as she says that she hasn't received the $2,000.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and hand that back to her.
May I continue?
May you continue? There's more?
Yeah, definitely.
What more could there possibly be? You've
Because-
already taken it to another place. It's already cost you another $1,119.93. You paid them, and the car is working fine now, right?
Well, yeah, but just, let me say something. If you brought the car to explaining to them that it's a pilot bearing, which was about the 29th, when they were speaking of these parts, I could get no one to recognize what these parts are for, or why I need them at the transmission at all. When everybody's telling me it's coming from the clutch, I text Jenny a picture of when I looked on Google that it says pilot bearing, which mirrored Firestone, and they never respond to that. So that's why I called him, because I couldn't get them to respond to the things that I needed for my car to
Wait,
get.
I'm sorry. What did you just say?
I
You
had asked-
texted
excuse
her
me,
pilot
excuse-
bushing when?
It's pilot bearing. It's not
Pilot
bushing.
bearings
Pilot
when?
bearing. Pilot bearing. I had text Jenny. I got the
When?
text on the 29th of October, and I can show it to you.
On the 29th of October,
Which is the day, which is not too far from the day they told me they need the parts.
Okay, you texted her something about pilot bearing?
It's a possibility,
did.
but at one point I
It
blocked
sure
her
did.
because
Let-
No, this is
after
October.
5 p.m.
October. We're
I
talking
mean,
about October. You haven't even-
October.
October
So,
29th.
Right.
Yeah, we have a whole bunch of correspondence on
No,
my phone.
here's all. No. Just do this for me. Find me that text in October. I'd like to see it. I'm curious.
I'm giving that to you right now.
Okay,
sir.
that's what I want.
Just want to show you how it looks
Okay.
in real text.
So according to her, she's showing me a text that said pilot bearing, a
Distorted.
bad pilot bearing noises intensifies as you depress the clutch pedal. So if you notice, so what is your point with this?
Okay, so I'm telling her that I don't see how that can have anything to do with the transmission and these parts that no one can understand what they entail when they ask for those parts for the transmission. That was my problem, the clutch. The clutch was my issue. So why was it in
What
my
did
transmission?
Firestone say your problem was?
I can show you that right here.
I have that.
Okay, look at it. What it says. Told me to go to.
Customer had new motor mounts installed. Car feels off since then. Who did your motor mounts?
Right. That's what I'm trying to
Who
tell you.
did your motor mounts?
Yet
another person.
Pep Boys. Pep Boys.
Car has been off since then. Check battery. Clutch engages early. Check and advise. See no issues with motor mounts. Technician did confirm issues with shifting. Recommends transmission shop.
Nah,
Where do they say it's a clutch? Or where do they say it's
would be the clutch.
the bearings or the pilot bushing or anything else?
The bearing is mentioned there. If you look at it real good, there was a bit.
I'm looking at. There's not that much to look at. I am looking very well at it. Electronic battery check, tire air pressure, tire rotation, vehicle inspection, blah blah blah. It said there's an increasing part of battery tests. There's an increasing possibility that your vehicle may not start due to battery failure in the near future. We highly recommend replacing your battery, which you didn't do.
I couldn't get a chance to do so.
I've been doing this stuff without you my whole life.
I'm sorry.
Where here is anybody talking about pilot this or clutch that? They're talking about there's an issue with shifting recommended transmission shop.
I don't know.
So it sounds like you need it, like Firestone thinks you need a new transmission. Then these folks think you need a new transmission. Then you get a new transmission.
Clutches engages
then
early.
You're suing for the money you paid for the new transmission.
Can I look?
You fight the Zelle for the new transmission.
Could you look at this?
You take it to the next guy, and the next guy says
I didn't fight the Zelle.
that there's pieces of the pilot bushing in the clutch. The flywheel.
Can I just say something, Your Honor,
you
please?
can say the last thing I'm going to let you say, so make it good.
In Firestone, it says the clutch engages early, which mirrors the same information I found on that thing I text her.
I'm sorry, hold on. Clutch engages early. Where's the, you had said that I would find the pilot bushing stuff here.
That is the same symptom as in the paper when I sent her to show her the pilot bearing is engaged early.
We're done.
But that's also
We're done. We're done. You are not a mechanic. We are done.
I'm only going by what they say.
I'm going to go by what they said too. Okay? Now, here's what they said. That they found pieces of the pilot bushing, broken pieces in your clutch. Okay? You see those guys? They make a living selling you stuff. If they had found broken pieces in your clutch, they would tell you, oh, you need a clutch kit, and they would sell you that. I don't believe there were broken pieces in your clutch at the time stop talking, that transmission was removed and that they looked at it. I don't think they were trying to nail you. They're breaking bread with you. They're listening to you for 45 minutes. They're trying to help you. You brought them 3 cars. If something as obvious as broken pieces was in there at the time that transmission was taken out, that's what they would have addressed. You get a new transmission. You have a new transmission, and you're suing for almost double, well, you're suing for the statutory max of what your new transmission cost you. And you're calling it deceit, misleading, another $1,000 for neglect, another $1,000 for pain and suffering. At the end of the day, I have to answer one simple question. Did they botch something in the repair? And you have a brand new transmission. They didn't botch anything in that. And there's nothing that the next guy can tell me about whether you needed a new transmission or not. So when he tells me the best you've got is this guy, because Firestone says, hey, it's stalling and take it to a tranny place. Firestone doesn't say anything about pilot bushing. You're not a mechanic. It turns out later that you have a problem with pieces in the clutch, and it's an entire, I see that job is done December 5th, and I see 0 evidence of you communicating with them, because I asked you to find that. Did you find evidence of any communication between you and them after you picked up the car?
Right.
That would tell me when you first complained that you were hearing the noise again.
November the 26th.
Can I see proof that you contacted them November the 26th?
Right, you sure can. Right here. That was just after I spoke to Mike. And he transferred me over to her.
Here's a text where she texts you, Jenny, saying, I want you to know Mike's you, right? Attempted to divert me to Nissan to evaluate the brand new transmission. When I presented, y'all should check it out to confirm the new bought transmission isn't functioning properly. He made an accusation that I may have a clutch issue. I didn't drop 3 grand plus to be told the issue initially was, in fact, my clutch. I haven't had the opportunity to drive my vehicle further than around my home. Due to not being able to unlock my vehicle and then coping with a bad battery, I hope the dilemma of not having the courtesy I was provided initially that allowed y'all to work on my vehicle doesn't force me to discover I was given an improper diagnosis with regard to my clutch, since the issue still exists. This is on November 26th. Then my question to you is, between November 11th and November 26th, the car's driving fine?
I never drove the car. It was in front of my house, and I can prove that too.
Okay, but according to you, it's making the noise as you're driving off, but you don't tell them anything.
Actually, I was afraid to, because I
You were
was
afraid.
dealing with the fact that I was.
All right, on your lawsuit against them, zero.
He was
And on
telling-
their lawsuit against you for the $2,000, this is what we're going to do. I am going to give you an order that says that you're entitled to that $2,000. All right? And you take that order to Zelle so they can use it in their investigation. That's my verdict.
Thank you.
Oh, wow, okay.
Both sides, hold on, guys, hold on.
So the plaintiff, in effect, gets nothing in this lawsuit. I'm sure she's a little steamed. Am I right?
Yeah, well, you know, when you have much time, much opportunity to speak and say your piece while they mention a rhetoric of other things that didn't quite bring the point of me bringing them in court, it leaves you not being able to let the judge be aware of things.
Well, you had
I gave
plenty
a
of
lot
time to tell your story. You
No,
know
I
that.
didn't. I didn't have.
Yes, you did. This case lasted a long time.
Well, that's because he did all the talking. I also wasn't
Okay.
able to mention my evidence either that I had, so all the evidence I have. So there you go.
She went through it all.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did.
If she did, she would have mirrored a lot of things, but that's okay. It's another day in court.
I'm sorry. All right. Let's see what Mr. Rivera has to say.
Hello there, how are you? It seems like the only shifty thing was her story.
Well, you're lucky. You know, she will get the $2,000 if Zelle gives it back to you.
That's
right?
true.
You heard that.
I'm very happy about that, yes.
Yeah, okay.
We did a job, her car's running fine, or else she would have brought it back.
All right. In any event, I think you came out okay.
Yes, I did, and I'm very happy. We stand behind our work, no matter what it is, for everybody.
Very good. And what's your favorite dish that you cook?
Let's see, so I'm gonna say rice, beans, and pork chops.
Rice, beans, and pork chop. All right, very good. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Harvey, this really was a complex case. What are your thoughts on it right now?
Well, this is kind of a twist, Doug. You know, we've always talked about the fact that when you come to court in a case involving things that you don't necessarily know about or aren't expert at, you need to bring an expert. But people think you bring an expert, you win the case. This is an example where you have an expert, but the expert doesn't drive it home for you, or himself or herself doesn't know, and it does not necessarily seal the deal.
At a party, where can someone find you?
Would someone find me at a party?
Start with that.
Here's the difference between you and me. Rooms light up when I leave them. They usually light up when you get there, right? At a party, I don't know.
I force
maybe
you to go.
In the kitchen, I don't know. Where would I be? Usually I'm the guy leaning up against you and whispering in your ear, when are we going home?
Can we go now? Can we go now? You've stopped that, actually.
I've gotten better.
You really have gotten better. Probably because I've gotten more tired and I'll leave earlier. I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe.
That
We're
might
getting
be. We've
closer
met.
to that happy
It only
medium.
took 30 years, but now we're at that
Right.
at that
That
happy
could be it.
medium. But
That could be it.
you'll find me on the dance floor.
Oh, yeah, for
You'll
sure.
find you in the point that is farthest from the music, so that you can hear the person you're trying to talk to.
Yeah, that's probably true, because that'll really
Yeah.
annoy me otherwise.
Right.
You have to yell over music, especially when you're standing like a foot away from somebody.
Right. You'll
and
find
you're
me
still
next to
screaming.
the speakers dancing, and you're as far as
Right.
you can be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I don't know. And then we had New Year's Eve at our house, and you went to bed while people were at our house.
I did. That's right. Well, but in fairness, I went to bed at 1:40 a.m.
It wasn't
okay?
that late.
That was kind of late.
No, it was like
all right?
12:40,
But
and people
you
were at
said
our
you were
house till
fine with
3
it.
o'clock.
You were
I was
like,
fine
you
with it,
were
actually.
glad to be
I
rid
just
of
think
me.
it's funny.
But remember, 2 years before that, we had the New Year's party, and like the power went out, and the sound from all the music ended, and it was like a power outage in the neighborhood. And everybody said that I turned it off.
That you had
That
turned
I
off
flipped
the switch. I'm
circuit
like, the
breaker.
man hasn't even woken up. It wasn't
No.
him. No, that was John.
Yeah, right? I was falsely accused, but I didn't do it.